Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Find Joyous Equilibrium with Embodied Drumming, Rhythmic Meditations and Somatic Play to Heal Your Body and Balance Your Life. My name is Stephen Dinant. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really blessed to be with you here, getting to learn, explore, and deepen right alongside with you with one of the world's preeminent teachers of drumming, and particularly somatic embodied drumming. Her name is Krista Holland. She's a multifaceted teacher and frame drummer. We're going to learn a lot more about the frame drum and its history here today. And also really a master teacher of embodiment practices as well. So we're going to really take a different tactic. It's not technical playing so much today as learning to work with the drum as a vehicle really for your greater enjoyment, greater joy, and embodiment as well. So with that said, Krista, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Stephen. It's so great to see you online. I got to see you in person recently, which was such a joy to be at the Sacred Sound Healing Retreat with you all, and love being here to share this.
Beautiful. Well, I know I want to say it right up front, we're going to have this hour together. We're going to make it experiential and juicy and fun, so get ready to move. And I also want to let you know we're going to have a brand new program with Krista all about embodied drumming. So more to come on that towards the end of the hour. So Krista, I think instead of starting with talking, why don't we start with drumming today to really invoke the spirit of play here?
Thank you.
Such a powerful language, and it really starts to just slip us into that deeper trance-like state. So beautiful. Well, thanks for greeting us that way. And Krista, maybe you could continue with a little bit about your backstory, particularly weaving that with the frame drum, and then we can go into a little bit of the history and overview of why this is such an important cross-cultural instrument for connecting in a really embodied way with our deepest self.
Absolutely. I've always loved music, as I'm sure many of you out there, this feeling of how we connect with music and how it can evoke different feelings in us. So since the time I was really young, I always just was, opening my ear to the soundscapes of rhythm and music, and especially something about the drum. And I met a Nigerian drummer, Babatunde Olatunji, when I was a young woman, and I went to study with him these African drums. And it's kind of a funny situation because I also love to dance, but when I went to study with Babatunde and I saw these amazing drums, and he was so welcoming, and he just had this incredible way of bringing community together and connection to rhythm that I really fell in with the drums. And it led me on this journey of exploring a lot of different types of drums until one day I ended up meeting my primary teacher, the late Lane Redmond, who wrote the book When the Drummers Were Women. And when I went to study with Lane, which I studied with her and apprenticed for 14 years until her passing, she was showing that the drum was really this cross-cultural instrument, and that in itself was such an amazing invitation. And she was always teaching with imagery of women from the ancient days holding a frame drum. And these images just cross so many different regions of the world, so many different cultures, so many different time periods and belief systems. And so when she passed on, she also passed on the teachings to myself and many of her other students. And so I have been really on this incredible exploration to show other people that the drum is really this universal instrument, and that we are in tuned to the drum naturally because of our heartbeat rhythm. So it's something that can really remind us of our connection actually to our own embodiment, and that our embodiment is rhythmic. Our breath is rhythmic. Sometimes how we speak is rhythmic. Of course, the heartbeat is rhythmic, and even our brain waves flow in different kinds of rhythms. So this practice of embodied drumming has been a really amazing journey for me, studying with different teachers over the years, and then also sharing this more and more with a great array of people from all walks of life.
So what a cool history. So let's go a little bit further into how the drum actually starts to work. You said we are intrinsically a rhythmic organism between our heartbeat, other natural rhythms. How does a playing a drum actually work to entrain and enhance really the rhythms that are already going on in our own body?
Well, I love that word entrain or entrainment. And that is really a lot of what it is when we drum. We are working with these different rhythms and patterns. And in this style of drumming, which is called the upright style, so you can see that I'm standing upright and I can move around, we can also start to work in stepping and then playing a different rhythm as we're stepping. And these rhythms can really affect us on a somatic level. They can affect our brain waves. They can affect our ability to be in connection and in equilibrium, really, the sense of balancing between whatever our natural rhythms are in the day, where we go through periods of being more relaxed or even lethargic. Sometimes we might have a state of depression that's happening, or different kinds of emotions that are arising with the challenges of living. And when we work with the drum, it's a tool really to channel or transmute some of these different, more dense feelings. And so there's so many different ways that we approach the drumming practice. We approach it, of course, rhythmically. And then again, in this particular style of drumming, we are going to be working with an embodied sense of rhythm. So sometimes we'll be drumming, sometimes we'll be working with rhythm on the body to get us into that natural homeostasis of rhythm. And then, of course, also how drumming and rhythm affects our brain waves, because we have the possibility of moving from the beta wave to the alpha wave, and that shift of brain waves can actually naturally bring you into greater relaxation and ease. So it's one of the ways that drumming is a little bit like a key that can bring in a different state of mind or a shift of consciousness simply by holding a steady rhythm or playing with different time signatures and things like that. So that's a little bit about how the drum is an embodiment practice.
So I hear there's kind of like two levels. There's one is like you can express your inner states through the drum and to sort of almost mirror it back to yourself or help to metabolize. And then also the drum kind of works on you to kind of entrain your own brain waves and rhythms in a certain way. So there's sort of like a mutual feedback loop is what I hear.
Exactly. And there will be different ways that we'll approach it. Sometimes it's about transforming or transmuting an emotion or a state of mind or a state of being. Again, like if we're going through a hardship or we're overcoming a difficulty or we're having a challenge, drumming is an amazing way to help transform that. Almost every time I pick up the drum, I just check in with what state I am in, and then after playing a bit, I'll do a little, read on my system, so to speak, and almost inevitably something's transformed. And then, of course, we also are working directly with the brain waves and things like that. And so we can work with it more on the emotional level. We can play the drum from this embodiment where we're getting into more of our harmonious feeling and feeling of our equilibrium and also our posture. And then also we can look towards brain science and how being in entrainment or rhythmic repetition has the potential to actually shift us even physiologically.
I'd love to just feel and hear an example of working through something like transmuting a more challenging or denser kind of energy, and how you might do that with the drum.
Sure. It's interesting because, for instance, if we're feeling frustration or anger, we might think that we're going to just really bang on the drum, but sometimes actually coming in really in a subtle way. We can bring our sensibility through. You can bring those emotions through the drum, and then by being in entrainment and in a sense in trance or flow state, the drum and the rhythm naturally shifts us. It's not that we really even have to try, but we are giving ourselves permission to step into drumming as really a tool, a sort of a medicine, a tool of this transformation. And so we can work with these different ways of taking that raw energy or that raw emotion, energy in motion, and put it into motion. And then we might find that as we're drumming, something starts to soften, and we might start to play in a really subtle, quiet, almost like a whisper way, and then once in a while just bringing in a strong accent. And this is something that I find people can do right away without really even having a musical background. That's one of the things that's so unique about a frame drum, is that this simple construction and then some of the instruction can really lead a person in, I would say almost immediately, because even just there's a power in that simplicity. And in this embodied drumming course, we will also be starting to move in stepping, and we'll start to combine the stepping with these simple patterns, beginning with the feet and then moving up the body. And this is going to give the participants a really solid foundation in this upright style of drumming, which is so much fun because you can walk with your drum, you could dance with your drum. When we were at the Sacred Sound Healing event last week with the Shift Network, myself and Christine Stevens and Fred Johnson, we led a processional of, I don't know how many people it was, 50 people, 75 people. I don't know if the whole group of 100 or some were there at that fire circle, but we walked from this main building down to the fire, leading this group. And it was so powerful. And that's something that I'm going to teach you all to do, just these simple rhythms, and then learn how to step so that you will have this instrument that you can bring with you to ceremonies, that you can also use just for your own really personal practice. But to be able to get up with the drum is something that's really special. But one more bit about that, incidentally, is that you can also learn to play the upright style seated. So if for whatever reason you're not feeling like standing up, or you're working with some kinds of disabilities that are preventing that, then you can still learn with us in this upright style, but you can be seated. It's one of the things I love about this particular style of drumming, is that there's a lot of different ways that you can play the drum in this style.
Very cool. Well, I noticed you do some different, you have some more percussive hits on the drum, and then you also do some strokes, and just maybe share a little bit about the philosophy of how the different kinds of ways that you hit or move on the drum kind of evoke different qualities internally.
Yes, this particular style of drumming hails from the tradition of Hamza el-Din, who was a Nubian North African drummer, and then he passed this on to my teacher Elaine Redmond, and she's passed it on to me, and so on. And one of the amazing things that Hamza brought to our understanding was that the strokes of the drum are connected to the universal elements. So an earth stroke, a water stroke, fire, air, space. So when we're learning to play this style of drum in this lineage, we could say, we are connecting that embodiment to the earth, and we're connecting it to the water within us and around us, that which hydrates us, the water tables, really in a deep reverence for the element of water. We're learning about fire. We're learning how to connect that feeling of passion and willpower and drive and discipline, and however else we think of that powerful element of fire on the drum. And then our air, the breath, the wind, the breeze, space that holds it all together. We'll also be working with just some of these different techniques that can start to really bring out the sound of the drum in different ways. Again, one of the things about such a simple instrument as a frame drum, such a simple construction, is that there is a lot of dynamic and depth that can be brought out if you learn these different techniques that we'll be covering in the course on how to bring these techniques out of the drum, and then, of course, applying them with this stepping and some of the different techniques that we'll be covering.
Well, let's get a little bit of a taste of what's coming down the road here. And why don't you take it and lead us in more of a guided embodied drumming meditation, so that we can get a feeling for how you can work with this drum in a different way.
I would love to. So I'm going to invite you out there to stand up with me. Would you do that? Can you close out any tabs and rise up out of your seat? And if for whatever reason you're like, I'm just so comfortable on my chair right now, or you're at your desk, then I'm going to just invite you to just mark this out with your feet in a seated position. But if you would, please stand up with me. And I'm just going to set the drum down now, just to give you an idea that we will be working in this embodied practice where we really begin at the feet. And we'll start to step, and we'll step. And we're going to be building this drumming practice in an embodied way from the ground up, from your feet, up through your bones, up through your deeper belly, into the lungs, and we're stepping and stepping, and we'll be doing a little body percussion, just patting on your chest or on your thighs or on your belly. We're going to count in on 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice the feet are in a single time. So stepping right and left and right and left. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you ever get lost, just come back to the feet stepping. And we'll start to break it down to where we're stepping on 1 and we're stepping on the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step right, 2, 3, 4, left, 7, 8, like that. So we've got this really stable countenance, this really stable grounding, which can really help bring the energy from your head. If you're kind of up here in the cerebral realm, bringing it down to the feet and down to the ground. And then we'll be working with these different patterns of clapping, which will then also be drumming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, clap 1, 2, 3, 4. Doubling up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And back to the single time. We'll be breaking up numbers into different ways of counting, and we'll be playing a little bit with numbers in our embodiment. Again, we're going to be getting into this embodied sense of rhythm where you're stepping, just kind of very casually, just going side to side, almost like you're walking in place. And then we're starting to drop back deeper into your body, your unique embodiment. And then we'll be starting to breathe more consciously. And we'll start to weave more and more of our patterns, first in clapping and doing some body percussion. Then we'll start to bring that onto the drum. And one of the very unique things about this particular style of learning drumming in the upright position is that you'll also get an opportunity to really work with your posture. And there's so much I could say about this and how this can really transform your life and your sense of yourself and your sense of your embodiment. This postural awareness, which is actually very subtle, and it comes from some of my other trainings that I've been delving into over many years, this ability for you to start to shift your posture very subtly will start to free up more energy, and will start to free up perhaps even this sense of joyousness within, which is a joy that is intrinsic to the inner body. And it is about energy flows as opposed to something that's being put on externally. We are waking up something that's inherent in you that can help you overcome difficulties and hardships and whatever it is you're working with that might be challenging. So we're unlocking some of these deeper reservoirs of basically what is your life force energy. And that will happen through the stepping. It will start to happen through the clapping and the body percussion. And then we're going to bring that on to the frame drum.
Fascinating insights and demonstration. And I'm wondering if you can link this a little more with, like, why does this help to catalyze different kinds of self-healing inside?
Well, we have been in such a sedentary time in history, in human history. not only just these last few years where people have really been challenged with difficulties, isolation, again, being sedentary. Many people are working at desk jobs or have jobs also where they're caretaking, or, mothers with children, all the things that we do. And this practice will give you a chance to, first of all, take that time for yourself and with this amazing global group of people. And it is an invitation to go into your body for the time that we're practicing together. And just that invitation to go home, back into your essence, into your soul, and also to your unique embodiment in whatever state that you're in is welcome. It's really an open invitation. Again, if you are not able to stand or you're not feeling like standing, you can apply this all in a seated position with swaying. But for those of you that will take on this invitation, then I am going to be inviting you to stand up, to start to step in rhythm and awaken that natural reservoir of chi or Reiki, many different names, prana, shakti, many different names for life force energy that can stagnate. It can get a little dim. We can start to get a little too comfortable on the couch. And so it's a gentle invitation to step into rhythm, step into your embodiment, and then enjoy and discover this practice of drumming that is a tool and it is a companion on the journey. It makes me think about the prophecies of so many cultures that have talked about this being a time of difficulty, and that this is a time of challenge for humanity and for all of the creatures. But they also talk about there being a golden age that is to come. And there are many threads through the dark ages to the golden age. There's these scintillating threads that help us kind of pull through, and the drum is one of them. And there's many others, so many others. Your breath, the present moment, connection, being with plants, walking in nature. But this is a really powerful one, and you can take it to nature, and you can be in your own practice, but you can also start to perhaps drum with others. So there's a lot of potential if you take on this practice. And here's your invitation to learn upright style frame drumming in the embodied drumming practice and course coming up.
Well, that's a great invitation. And I think this is also, it struck me it'd be a good moment to share a little bit more about the kind of cross-cultural history and why the frame drum really has such an important role to play in human history, and really as this vehicle for our in training our evolution, our rhythms, and really activating more of our potential.
I love that so much. In fact, it's, I think, probably my favorite thing really about the frame drum is that it's this incredible cross-cultural instrument. And when I started to learn about that, it took me on such a journey to really uncover and discover, well, how cross-cultural is this thing? And it turns out that it is something that is created on almost every continent, a frame drum. We think about the unbroken lineage all throughout the Middle East of women and men and different community members playing the frame drum, all throughout the Mediterranean and the mystery schools of ancient Greece and in Egypt and the Hathor temples with Isis and the god Bes. Even the Hebrew Bible mentioning the frame drum in the hands of Miriam, the prophetess, when she was leading her people with the frame drum in celebration of the Exodus. It's mentioned in the Bible. It's mentioned in ancient literature from Mesopotamia. Even the indigenous Sami peoples of Scandinavia, which is now Sweden, Norway, Finland, areas of the Koa Peninsula in Russia, they have an ancient tradition of frame drumming. Their drums were incidentally confiscated and burned at a certain point in history. The Native American, the indigenous of Turtle Island have their unique style of drum, and of course the shaman's drum, which is a little bit different than what we're focused upon. But this idea of the frame drum is so cross-cultural. There's a story of a Japanese princess that played the frame drum. There are small frame drums from southern India that the gopis, who revere and are devoted to Krishna, play, and even bigger frame drums. North Africa and different areas of Africa, Mauritius Islands have a beautiful frame drumming tradition. And of course, the Irish with their bodhrán, and even the Scottish have a frame drum tradition that goes back at least 500 years by written record. So there's even more to discover about how cross-cultural this instrument is, but truly it is one that can remind us of that which connects us, this circular shape, the reminder of our heartbeat, and this universal birthright of being in rhythm and making music at any stage and age of life.
At any age of life. I think it would be great to illuminate a little bit more about like the health benefits. We've touched on it a little bit, but I know there's some intriguing science around, everything from cognitive function to our overall, our posture alignment and things that there's a lot of things, benefits that the drumming practice can create in terms of longevity and health and well-being that I think it's worth presencing now.
Yes, it's another really fascinating aspect of drumming is when we confer some of the benefits that the indigenous have always brought forth and have repeatedly and consistently brought to humanity with this modern science that kind of peering through the microscope or the electroencephalogram, hooking people's brains up to see what's happening when they're drumming. And there's some really exciting, fascinating research happening about how drumming can affect our state of being. It can affect our physiology. There's a lot of different research out there that you can reference to understand more deeply for yourself how drumming can be part of a wellness practice. I think of it as adjunct medicine or a complementary tool to whatever else you're doing. And nowadays, it's really wonderful if each of us has a practice of different things that can help us to stay balanced, to help us access deeper states of health that are really coming from the inside out. It's our endogenous, our inherent or natural ability to heal. The drum is just one mechanism to help wake up some of those endogenous hormones that we might find start to awaken through trance drumming or repetition. I think it's surprising sometimes that something that could be so, in a sense, simple and repetitious can actually be really healing and balancing, partly because there is so much out there, right? There's so many choices. So to make a simple choice of having a drumming practice, and then test the theory out for yourself. Say, I'm going to drum for 20 minutes, half hour. I'm going to sit down or stand up, as the case may be, and notice what happens. And you will most likely, I would say almost undoubtedly, feel a shift. And there is some science behind that.
Cool. Well, I wonder if you could explore a little bit, like, I think another demonstration would be great about, you were talking a little bit about awakening endogenous hormones and other energies. And so I wonder if you can just demonstrate a little bit of how you can kind of use the drum to kind of summon up new potentials to the surface and kind of creative new energies.
Sure. I would preface it or invite you to start with intention, even just right here, being in this presence with us. This intention to awaken your potential for healing, for balance. And these might be subtle seeds that you plant inside of yourself. It makes me think of the placebo effect. Just tuning in to your unique embodiment. Listening to the sound of the drum. So you bring to heart to mind your intention. You work with that and start to infuse that through your body. And again, these can be such simple seeds that you plant, that you nurture inside of yourself to play a rhythm and repetition while moving in your embodiment, whether that be just swaying side to side in your chair, or really getting up and stepping your feet powerfully on the earth and remembering your connection to the earth itself, to nature's rhythms, to your ancestors, to the other people that inhabit this place, both the humans and the non-human realm, and to make that connection, to come back into that connection in a really simple way. And the drumming is part of how we nurture those seeds or water those seeds. And those seeds inside are the inner pharmacopoeia, as we say. And drumming is a beautiful way to help nourish those deeper flow states.
Beautiful. I wonder if you can describe for us more about just how you create a sort of an ongoing drumming practice. I think a lot of us associate drumming with a more spontaneous activity, maybe a jam or something like, but actually to really kind of create it as a daily intentional practice. How do you do that as a morning practice around yoga or meditation, or, you know, multiple times during the day? Just describe that a little bit.
It's another subject that I really love. I really love the subject of practice because, again, there's so many allurements. So how are you going to find your way to a real drumming practice? And I have a lot of different ideas about that I'll share, because I feel like there's a lot of different routes into a drumming practice depending on the person and depending on their lifestyle and also, you know, the level of responsibilities. So you could practice first thing in the morning as part of your meditation practice. And it's an incredible mindfulness practice. It's an incredible meditation practice. For some people that may be just sitting, you know, zazen, super quiet, or vipassana, maybe you loved that at a certain point in your life, but it's not working anymore. So having this repetition, just feeling your hands on the drum, looking at the morning sun facing east, for instance, anywhere inside of your house, or taking it outside, you know, on a walk, or if you have somewhere around you, you're blessed to have a little spot that you can be out in nature with the drum. You can also do more of a really formulated practice where you are learning these different rhythms and you're working with just different traditional rhythms, or kind of going at it more as your cognitive calisthenics, you know, brain gym time, where you're like, all right, I'm going to really try to work out this particular rhythm in 7 or something like that. And then, as Stephen mentioned, the spontaneous, intuitive practice where you just pick up the drum, and you're going to have a lot of permission given in this course that it's like you can actually start to make it up as you go along. You can make one beat and then follow it up with a little roll and then another strike on the drum. I think the intuitive practice is so vital at any stage of learning, and I really encourage my students right from the very beginning to weave in the intuitive practice. That's where you can work with some of the deeper emotions and things like that. And then also, one of my favorite times to practice actually is right before bed, just sitting up in bed, or maybe stepping a little bit before, getting into bed. And then if you're in bed, just even a soft kind of lullaby to self or perhaps to someone else. So it's a practice that really you can bring into different times of the day. And it also does weave into our circadian rhythms and our diurnal rhythms and our seasonal rhythms. So you can start to create a practice that is based around some of these larger rhythmic cycles, larger natural rhythms, and also the cosmological rhythms. And then you can kind of weave that in with your personal practice, and that will be very dynamic and very satisfying.
Beautiful. Well, you have such a rich intellectual understanding and this deep somatic understanding, and so much beautiful practice that weaves together to really create a whole new opportunity of a more feminine, embodied, deeply spiritual way of working with a frame drum. So what a blessing. I want to spend some time now talking about your upcoming course, since I think this is a really exciting and powerful way to deepen this practice and to go and experience really the benefits, both the health benefits, the entrainment benefits, the sort of the spiritual opening, the synchronization with the larger rhythms of the earth. So the program that Krista is going to be teaching is called Embodied Drumming, rhythmic play with the frame drum to awaken your spirit and realign your body and mind. You can find it laid out in detail at the URL embodieddrumming.com, embodieddrumming.com. It's going to be a 7-week program. There's no prerequisites, and it really gives you a chance to integrate this into your daily life. So, Krista, I'd love for you to share a little bit about where you're going to be taking people, and I'll read out the module titles so you give us a preview of what's coming.
Yes, we're going to begin at the beginning. We always do, even if somebody's already had a frame drumming practice. And for those that are brand new, we're going to begin with really how to hold the drum properly, how to get a really good, comfortable grip on the drum for more freedom and ease. We'll begin with our feet and kind of working up the body and starting to come into the posture for drumming. And that will set the foundation for a lot of ease and energetic power in your drumming.
Module 1, realign with the rhythms of the earth to take root in your body and activate inner balance and ease.
Again, from the very beginning, connecting to the earth, connecting to your structure, your bones, and then how that posture and that awareness can start to help bring more ease in your practice, and how we'll start to build on this foundation of drumming really from the inside out. And it's going to take you on this incredible arc through the 7 weeks to where you'll be progressing and deepening and creating more of a stable foundation each week as we go.
Module 2, enter your flow state to release mental, emotional, and physical blockages and liberate your rhythm.
Yeah, so we'll be working with the water element, and we'll be working with these ideas of flow state, trance state, getting in the zone, how to focus the mind enough to where you can have more natural ease and flow. And this really applies to life in general off of drumming, but we're going to use the drum as that medium to understand more this flow state of mind, which many people might find will have a cascade effect on the mind-body complex, creating that deeper sense of ease and equilibrium and harmony.
So module 3 is called Activate Your Core Power to Transform Lethargy into Vitality and Energy.
So tapping into these deeper reservoirs of your natural power, your instinctual power, your primal power, and that inner fortitude, and reawakening that if it's gotten a little dim, or helping that to illuminate more readily through your life so that you have that sense of being able to tap in to that inner power and that inner fire, we could say, that can really help you to motivate on the journey and to discover and to adventure in ways that might not have been as accessible. And there'll be different ways that you can modulate that depending on what you need in life and on a given day. So some of this is specific to the drumming, and then there's also this deeper awareness of these somatic practices that you can really take into your day-to-day living.
Module 4, synergize your breath with the frame drum to rebalance your nervous system, strengthen focus, and expand your consciousness.
Yes, breath. It's such an amazing tool we have at our disposal. And I think we're seeing more and more awareness really globally of how powerful and medicinal the breath can be. So this is another aspect of both the drumming and the somatic practice and the embodiment practice, is working with different aspects of breath, and then how that focus on the breath and awareness, reverence for the breath, can again transform not only your drumming practice, but really our lives, to remind you, which I'm sure many are already in tune with, but to ever deepen that reminder of how key breath is in your well-being.
Module 5, honor your life experience to release trapped emotional energy, create inner harmony, and enhance your drum play.
I think life can be inherently challenging for many of us, and there are obstacles on the path. There are ways that we get mired and stuck. We might fall into habits that are no longer serving us. Perhaps we're working through grief or trauma, and the drum is such a beautiful tool and a helpful ally on your path of transmuting, transforming, and coming back into your greater homeostasis, your greater equilibrium, and also just working with the raw power of those very natural emotions that come along in life, but really kind of transforming that bitter and making it medicinal for you. So we'll be working with that and transforming some of these emotions through drumming.
Module 6, engage your imagination to let go of what doesn't serve you and ignite your inner vision and brain power.
I think it's so important for each of us to keep that imaginative capacity really online. And this is something that I just would love to invite people deeper into, because of all of these distractions and all of the entertainment and all that we have available to us in our modern living, to really give it back to you, to really help remind you to keep waking up your own capacity for imagination, because that is another key into creating really a life that you see, that you want to be, that which you want to see in the world, and how imagination can also just be purely fun and bring more joy into your life.
Module 7, integrate all you've learned into an enriching drumming practice for a lifetime of postural alignment and healing.
Whether you've had experience with a drum or not, if you have, this is going to deepen your understanding, it's going to deepen your capacity, it's going to get you more embodied. For those brand new to drumming, this is a really open invitation that we're going to begin at the very, very beginning. So you don't need to have ever played an instrument. You don't need to have any musical background. Just need to have a beating heart. And then we will go together on this journey into learning the techniques on the frame drum, learning how to make different sounds to keep a steady beat and rhythm, and then also working with the embodiment practice where we're stepping, so that should you want to take this out on your walk or bring it to a dance, or if you just want to dance around your house or move with your drum, we will go on this arc from foundation, weaving all these different modalities through in a very simple, accessible way. And you can really just keep that simplicity and let that be a foundation. And then over time, you can go into more complexity and have this beautiful tool, the frame drum or the sacred drum, as an instrument for well-being and for equilibrium and balance and embodiment.
You're such a warm and inviting teacher to just invite people into their own depth of practice and relationship with this beautiful instrument. So again, you can find the whole program laid out in detail at embodieddrumming.com. So you get not only the 7 90-minute live sessions with Krista, which is going to include interactive time and Q&A time, you're also going to get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts to work with, study and highlight, weekly exercises, Facebook community to deepen your experience and sense of community. And on the page, you'll see a number of extra bonuses as well. There's a audio recording from Krista. It's a sound session, Ocean Island remix. And I want to say a little bit about that, Krista?
That is a meditative journey. It's about 20 minutes long. It's with handpan, and it is to evoke light on water, the sound of being by the ocean. So you can use it for yoga nidra or just relaxation. It could be a beautiful soundscape to fall asleep to, or for meditation practice.
That's super cool. And then there's also a PDF, A Brief History of Sacred Drumming. That's a PDF on upright frame drum playing that Krista's created for you. And there's a special bonus that you get when you sign up by midnight, which gives us a chance to plan and also really encourage you to make a decision while you have the most information right now while we're here together. And if you choose to move forward, you get a special bonus for doing so. It's called The Black Madonna and the Frame Drum Traditions of Southern Italy. Really intriguing. Want to share a little bit more about that?
Yes, it is intriguing, and it's quite amazing. Alessandra Belloni, she is a South Italian frame drummer by way of New York, and she is an amazing, powerful woman who is holding this tradition of the Southern Italian style drumming and really this global frame drumming and its own unique style of drumming. But what I love about Alessandra, beyond just her knowledge and depth of drumming and performance, is this incredible connection to the Black Madonna and the Black Madonnas. And it's a really interesting conversation that she and I had that I think will really add more depth to people's understanding.
It's going to be a beautiful program. And again, it's all laid out in detail at embodieddrumming.com. The Black Madonna bonus with Alessandra is what you get when you sign up by midnight tonight. We've kept it very accessible investment. It's just 3 payments of $109. You save 10% when you pay in full with 1 payment of $297. The course is going to start January 25th, run Wednesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the transcripts and the community and recordings. And really, it's the practices that make the magic. So you can do the practices and stay connected to the community even if you can't make the live call. So I also encourage you to go to the page at embodieddrumming.com and just read through the testimonials. People say, like, Krista is the best sacred drumming teacher I've ever known, and beautiful, gifted teacher, one of the most amazing teacher. And I appreciate the way she blends culture, rhythm, and depth to drumming. Really beautiful testimonials from other Shift students who have taken programs with her before. So you're really going to be in great hands. You're going to have a wonderful experience. You're going to build a beautiful international community, and you're going to have a set of practices that for a lifetime to really develop a deep, transformative relationship with this ancient instrument. So that's what the opportunity is, and you're warmly welcome to join. You get the Black Madonna special bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So, Krista, anything else you want to share with folks who are considering going deeper into this sacred practice of frame drumming with you?
Here's your invitation. I hope you'll join me on this journey into embodied drumming. I think it will really enhance your life and be an incredible, accessible practice for yourself individually and also to perhaps be in community. And there's so much subtlety and depth, and I'm just really looking forward to sharing this practice with you. And I hope you'll join me on embodied drumming journey.
It was such a warm invitation and such a sacred depth that you emanate. So, Krista, thank you for this time. Thank you all for joining. We're really blessed to be here together. And if you want to go further into this powerful sacred practice, you can do so at embodieddrumming.com. And again, the name of that program, Embodied Drumming, rhythmic play with the frame drum to awaken your spirit and realign your body and mind. And you get the Black Madonna bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So many thanks. Thank you, Krista, and thank you all.